Okay, let's talk about consonant skips or leaps. What these are is just, let's jump in right here, right? So we're going to go to two notes without crossing through a dissonance. And we do that with the consonant skips. Now, these are sometimes called chordal skips, as in a skip within the chord. So what that means is, let's look at this chord. So we have an E and a G on these first two notes. Okay, so if, let's just go way out here. Let's see, what chord could that possibly be? If I put an E and a G down, there are two possible things that that chord could be. I could add a B, and that makes it an E chord, or I can add a C, and that makes it a C chord. So depending on what note I use, I'm going to kind of define what that chord is. So let's go here. We used a B here, so we finished it out as an E chord, and that makes kind of sense because the note in the bass is probably the root of the chord in this case. What we're doing here is going from G to B. We're using another note in the chord to fill in the unaccented part of the measure. It doesn't create a dissonance because it's in the chord. So that's why we call them sometimes a chordal skip, as in is in the chord. But the actual name for them is a consonant skip or a consonant leap. We can also have a consonant leap. Remember the rule for step, skip, and leap. A step is two notes right next to each other. A skip is a major or minor third. And a leap is a fourth or anything bigger. Like right here. Here we have a G to an E. That's a sixth. So that is a leap. But it's a consonant leap because we're going from, we have a G here and an E here. So my chord is, well, actually, in this case, it doesn't matter what my chord is because I jump down to a G. And that's a octave there. So it worked out just fine, right? So I'm still in the chord because I used an octave of that. So that is another chordal skip, in this case, it would be a chordal leap, actually. So let's label these. For these, let's do it at the bottom. We do it with the CS, saying chordal skip. Actually, let's do it at the top, just so that all of our chord tones have a name up here. Here's another one. Let me just copy that one, put this one right here. Okay, so there's another chordal skip. Then we can go here, and here's another chordal skip. Because F is in the bottom. Actually, we can identify these pretty quickly if we just look at our intervals that we've laid out down here. If we've got two consonant intervals in a row, it's going to be a consonant skip. So let's go right here and say CS. Consonant skip. All right, now we have a label on just about every note of our counterpoint. This first one doesn't have a label because nothing comes before it. This one doesn't have a label because it's consonant before and it's consonant after, so there's kind of just no label to give it. And that's okay. Not everything needs a label. If we really wanted to give this a label, we could just call it a consonant. The same thing with this one and with the downbeat. Okay, now there's one other kind of non-chord tone that I want to talk about right now, and that's a neighbor tone. So let's jump to a new video and talk about neighbor tones.